Welcome to Uncovering Spirituality, where we embark on a journey of exploration and discovery into consciousness, energy, and the spirit world. Join us as we delve into the mysteries of spirituality and uncover the universal truths that connect us all. Hello, I'm Kathy Upper, founder of Spiritual Niagara. I'm also the consulting visionary and podcast host for Spiritual Canada, and this is Uncovering Spirituality. Joining me today is Jody Reid, international psychic medium. Jody began her career in the medical field, dedicating almost 30 years to understanding the human experience. As a college instructor, she inspired countless students, but her true passion emerged as she embraced her gifts as a full-time psychic medium. Now she connects with people worldwide, offering comfort and clarity from the other side. With exciting plans for platform shows across Ontario in 2025, Jody is committed to sharing her insights and bridging the gap between the living and the departed. She is also an accomplished author, having penned 3 transformative books: Love Beyond, True Encounters of a Psychic Medium, Life Sculpting Workbook, and The Art of Surrender, a mini guidebook. Based in Port Perry, Ontario, Jody is not just a gifted medium, she's also a loving mother and grandmother, driven by her passion for helping others on their spiritual journeys. Welcome, Jody, and thanks for joining me today.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you for having me.
So today we're talking about intuition and the role it plays in spirit communication. I know so many of us have difficulty making connection with our intuition. So first of all, let's kind of start with talking about intuition. What are some of the ways that people can start tapping into that and discovering what their intuition is all about?
Oh, absolutely. Just creating those quiet moments in your day, maybe using meditation. It's quite a powerful tool for this. So just a few minutes a day can help clear the mind, and help you get connected to that inner voice as well. Journaling thoughts and feelings can also enhance intuitive awareness, Kathy. Paying attention to that gut feeling or spontaneous thoughts often carry intuitive messages, and that's just in our everyday life, even when we're out and about.
And how do you know that that's your intuition? Like, what is the sense that you get?
Yeah, I think intuition comes with a feeling of calm and clarity, where if it's more ego based, it comes with fears and anxieties. So I think it's really important to step back and have a look at how you're feeling in the moment, too. So physically or emotionally, and kind of ask yourself, is there really any reason I should be feeling this way, this anxiousness or this fear? And a lot of times, it's just your own ability to pick up fears and anxieties around you, either through spirit and other people. So, and again, I just have to highlight that intuitive insights definitely come with a sense of peace. So it's not heavy or chaotic. So just trusting yourself and practicing mindfulness can help distinguish between the two as well.
Yeah, and I know right now the big struggle is the amount of fear that people are feeling. So it's hard to distinguish between those two. That's a really good way to look at it, that it's calm and centering,
It
right?
is.
What I have found with myself is that there's also a bit of like a nudge.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
like when I was creating Spiritual Niagara originally, there was something that was really pushing me. And
Yeah.
and that's what it felt like. It was the strangest thing. It was like, you absolutely have to do this.
So I
And
have to add to that because it's funny you highlight the word nudge. When I first started to, I guess, do readings, I would get this like feeling in my gut, like you have to say something. And then I had a dream one night and I dreamt of my spirit guide, and he told me his name was Albert, but they called him Nudge. So it's funny you say that. You're also giving me a message indirectly. And I really do. I totally agree with you, Kathy, that you do get that force in the stomach or that nudge. And that is a gut instinct. That is a knowingness, a claircognizance, if you will.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah. The other thing that I find that I experience is I get the chills. I get and I'm getting them right now. It's funny when I'm having those conversations. And I love it because for me, those chills kind of mean that it's um it's true. The message is true. This is real. Do you get that too? I'm always curious about that.
100%, yes. And I really have come to learn because we do develop language with spirit, right? Based on our own experiences. And I really come to learn that when I get that shiver kind of head to toe, it's them validating that, this is correct, or you're on the right path, or you are feeling this for a reason. So I think it's a very large kind of push, if you will, like, yes, this is it. This is it. So absolutely, I get those shivers.
Yeah, confirmation, right? Like this
Confirmation,
is
absolutely.
what you're saying is true. Yeah, I love it.
Absolutely.
Um, the thing that I'm always I don't really have a good understanding of, I guess I should say, is I understand psychic abilities, and I've done some readings actually, and I'm able to understand that, it's a future focus for someone. But I don't know how to use my intuition as a medium and to communicate with spirit, because I think I got a lot to learn myself in that area. So, can you tell me, how would you uh, describe how someone can use their intuition to communicate, or to maybe to understand the communications from spirit?
Absolutely. And I think absolutely everybody has the potential to communicate with spirit, Kathy. I think it's just a matter of developing the ability. My sister and I teach psychic mediumship development, and we often refer to it as building a muscle. So, certain practices that will help you enhance those, even using tools such as crystals or tarot cards, engaging in spiritual practices. Surrounding yourself with like-minded people will also help cultivate that. So I think we all have that ability, and I believe, at least, we have to let our spirit guides, let the people who are on the other side who are helping us know that we're open to it. We can request it. My personal encounter was exactly that. I was having these moments where it's like, gosh, I have to tell people something, and it was becoming like it was going into the readings and mediumship. I was connecting to people on the other side. And one day I said, I want to do this. I want to help people. My intention for every reading is to help people heal, to get validations from past loved ones so they know they remain connected, to help people move into their best lives and remove past traumas. So that is my intention for every reading. And I had said this one morning. The next morning I wake up, and it's kind of like, if you don't mind me saying, but my belief, I believe in God. So it was like conversations with God. So I had this download that said, are you ready? And I knew exactly what he was talking about. I was ready to read, and he's like, will you share everything we show you, even if it doesn't make sense to you? And I was like, yes, I will. And then the last kind of piece was, do you trust? And the moment I said I trust is like floodgates opened up, and I just had this knowingness. So I started with claircognizance. Clairsentience too is very strong. So that's clear feeling and clear knowing. And then clairvoyance came into the picture later, along with clairaudience. So I use all of those clairs all together. But certainly, I have such belief that we never stop evolving. So wherever we are in mediumship or readings or whatever, until we go back to where we came from, we continue to evolve. We continue to develop language with spirit. So, for instance, for in a small part of clairvoyance for myself, when it's somebody's birthday, they show me a bouquet of balloons. So for you, Kathy, it might be a birthday cake, you know? So they use symbols sometimes. Symbology is really huge. Sometimes it plays out with a little movie, but absolutely, I kind of describe it. It comes in a ball of all of those clairs.
Neat. So what would people sense if they're receiving a message? And I guess it is depending on the clair that they're using.
Mhm.
Um, but can you give me some examples of what you might sense, like what you've experienced?
Yeah. And you want to know what? One of the most common ones is emotion. So, clairsentience, and a lot of people have this, but even if they're not practicing mediumship or psychic abilities, we have this ability going out into public. So, if you go out into a public and you have a lot of people around you, and you get this like heavy emotion feeling, and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling anxious. I need to get out of here. That's really your clairsentience. That you're picking up the energies around you, people here and possibly on the other side too.
Yeah, I know a lot of people experience that. They can feel the tension in a room, when you walk into a room. Um,
Absolutely.
I think everybody can identify with that one, actually. That's a really good example.
Yeah.
Um, Now, how do you know if it's is there a sense that you have that it's a spirit, or I'm guessing that that's kind of hard to figure out.
I think with practice, we come to know that. And I think spirit works with us individually and sensing that. I mean, if you sit down for a full intention of bringing spirit through, you will know that in that moment who you're talking to. I do channel here and there, like meaning here in the physical and on the other side. So I have had moments where in a reading, I'll bring up their children, for instance, and spirit is able to help me describe that child to full detail, and that child's here. So I feel like it depends on the situation, and everybody's a little different, but from my experiences, that's kind of how it went. I have had moments where I recently moved to Port Perry, and I live across from a funeral home of all things, right? But I did have a moment one evening, and I had sat up in bed and I said to my partner, "Oh my gosh, there's a man here." Um, and funny enough, he's like, "Oh my God, is he alive?" And we went into kind of like a laugh about it because he knows I can sense, right? So anyway, I went on to describe this gentleman that he had four children, eldest being a daughter, and he was predeceased by his wife, and etc. Lots of details came through. So then he went and investigated, and sure enough, there was, his obituary, and this described exactly him. And then the
Wow.
next morning, I got this sense of just kind of peace. And I looked at the window, and sure enough, his family was taking him away. So I wasn't afraid, and that was definitely a spirit moment. It wasn't somebody I was channeling here in the physical. So there could be moments like that as well.
So did you actually were you seeing that family, or was it a sense?
So for the family itself,
Yeah,
the
like when
family
you sense he was,
physically they were taking his body away. So they were going to his burial from the funeral home to the
oh,
burial.
across the street. Oh,
Yes,
wow.
yes, yeah.
Wow, that's so
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, it was pretty profound to me because I had such an intense, calm, peaceful feeling come over me. And I'm like, I know this is connected to him. And I looked out the window, and sure enough, they were leaving with him.
Wow. That is so neat. Yeah, and it's wonderful to be able to feel that sense of calm too, that I'm sure that you give a lot of families that peace, that knowing that they're okay, right? We need that message, right? We need to know that, our loved ones are still okay.
And
Um,
I think that in itself, Kathy, is very healing. I've had so many people come just for that connection. And in those moments, I really ask spirit to bring through as many validations as possible, just so they know, like, this is really me and I'm doing okay. And I know what's going on with you. So they'll talk a little bit about themselves, maybe their personality or what they liked, or certain little things that were kind of special to them that nobody would have known. And they'll bring those things through. I remember doing a reading for a mom who sadly had lost her 5-year-old son, and I had read her at an event. I think it was like a fair, and then a couple months later, she rebooked. And I usually tell people to give about 6 months to a year before rebooking, Kathy. I like to ensure that we allow, those moments to unfold so you're not repeating the same messages. And the one thing about a reading when you're a medium, you don't get the ability to hold on to that information. So it is actually a new reading for us, but not necessarily for the client. So that's why I get them to wait so they get the most out. But in this one instance where she booked 2 months later, I contacted her and I said, "Are you sure you want to do this? Because I don't want to repeat kind of the same thing." And she's like, "Yes, I absolutely want to." So in that case, I didn't push back. And she came in, and just prior to her coming in, I had asked this little guy, I said, "Sweetheart," and I'm having this conversation with him. I said, "Your mom is just coming to connect with you. Please bring through as many validations as possible so she knows like we're having a reuniting or a visit." So I just surrendered to that, Kathy. There wasn't anything else I could do. And I mean, there was moments where my ego got in the way and it's like, oh my God, am I going to be able to give her more? Well, you have to remove you. It's nothing to do with you. We have to kick spirit out, or sorry, not spirit. I forgive me. We have to kick ego out in those moments so spirit can come in. So I did. I just completely surrendered and trusted she was coming for messages. And I did. And I was actually blown away at the ability that the small child had brought through. In fact, to the smallest details of he had mentioned this scar on his back and how she would rub her finger over top the scar on his back when they laid together to fall asleep. So he even brought in those just fine details. And it was like, I thanked him so much at the end. It was just a moment of connection. And I reminded her too, you don't need me. You don't need me. He's constantly showing you. And he kept showing me moments and signs he was showing her. And he described like these orbs in his room, and she had actually captured these pictures. So she showed me. He described a moment when he was in the garage with a cape on, like running around on his bike, and she showed me a video. So, like, I mean, I said these are real. This is him saying, "I'm always connected to you, Mom." Not that I'm trying to kick myself out of a job, but we do have the ability to remain connected to our loved ones.
Yeah, yeah. And it's interesting you're saying about intention. Intention is so important, especially when you're wanting to tap into your intuition, right? You're essentially asking the universe. You're saying, this is what I would like to have show up. Now, it's interesting. I have found that sometimes, in my case with giving the example of the creation of spiritual Niagara, there was no intention there. Like I didn't, but I was being nudged or pushed towards that direction, right? So I find it interesting that there's kind of like well, I guess, the co-creation, right? Where the
Yes,
universe is directing you because this is part of your life lesson or part of your life journey that you need to, towards. But then also we have the intention ourselves, that as curious people, what we want to learn or what we want to know.
absolutely. Absolutely.
So how can people like tap into that intuition using their intention? Like what kind of steps would you direct someone to take?
Honestly, getting yourself in the right environment, first of all. So even if you're not going to say paid courses or anything, there is YouTube. We were so grateful for the ability to, like, even this podcast. So listening to stuff like this, putting yourself in environments where they're like-minded people. My sister and I have seen incredible growth from our students in only 12 weeks. So at the beginning, some of them are brand new, some of them are already practicing, but by the 12th session, they have come into their own abilities. And we have them read each other on screen, like even just little short messages. And it is just mind blowing at how quickly we tap back into it. I say back into it because you come with the ability. We just help you cultivate it. And I think it doesn't have to be through just workshops and stuff, but anything, watching videos, getting yourself out to other mediums and getting readings for yourself, or even in platform where Teresa Caputo, that sort of thing. I go to as many mediums as possible as far as shows go. It's where my heart is. I love platform. So I put myself out. I don't necessarily go to be read, but go to help myself learn about me. It's like, yeah, okay, that's me, or maybe that's not right for me. I go to learn. I find it very educational.
Yeah, I know a lot of times with platform messages, it can be a message even for the room, right? The people that are there, Spirit wants to tell everybody this message, right? So it's not always, you know, because it's not your loved one, the message could be for five other people there in terms of what's going on in their life, right?
Absolutely. And a lot of mediums refer to that as piggyback messaging. So I could maybe bring through a father and describe him a certain way and how he passed, and then about four people put their hand up. And if I only get to two of them, and the other two people still take message from that saying, "I'm pretty sure that's my dad," I guarantee that's your dad because spirit has the ability to piggyback through other spirits to give you the message as well.
Yeah, yeah. The thing that I like about now is we're really living in interesting times where even science is starting to, enlighten people that there's something going on that we don't know about, but it exists, right? So can you tell me what your understanding about science and intuition and what we've learned in regards to that?
Yes. Actually, the one thing science can do, it can demystify the experience and empower individuals. So, research in psychology and neuroscience shows us that our brain actually processes information at a subconscious level, and that's the level which can lead to intuitive insights. So, recognizing this can help people trust their instincts and making decisions for both themselves and maybe sometimes giving guidance for others, depending on how you want to use the intuition. But it also can help you combine, base those decisions around intuition and rational thought together. Um, it highlights the interconnectedness of the mind, body, and spirit, promoting that holistic well-being.
Yeah, I know. It was science that brought me to spirituality originally. I watched. I was directed to watch What the Bleep. You remember that movie, or have you
I
seen that movie?
vaguely remember this. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. It's pretty old now, actually, but it really shows how science and the spirit world or how science can show that there is a spirit world, that there is something underlying that, we can't see and we have no knowledge of. But it does, its interconnectedness is what it's really all about, right?
My gosh, absolutely. I really do believe we come from one consciousness. So if you can envision an ocean and we're a drop in the ocean, and we all have that connectedness within the ocean. So we all have the ability to communicate back to that source.
Yeah, exactly. What impact can connecting with spirit have on someone? Um, I know, like, not everybody's actually even wanting to do that because there can be fear associated with that, right? So, how can it help others, I guess, when they make that connection?
Absolutely. And I can only speak through my own experience in the readings I've done for my clients, but I have seen um, people looking for something to believe in. So I have skeptics who come in, and I am definitely not here to prove anything. I'm simply here to share messages that Spirit shows me, but they are seeking for something to believe in. And when you tap into mom on the other side, and she brings through things that nobody knew, that helps them believe, and it renews them in a way, or gives rebirth to their life. I've also just like bringing back the instance of the mother and child, how it just feels like I remain connected when you're telling me those validations. So it brings a sense of peace sometimes, that we never really lose them. I really do believe we're energy, and energy can only transform. There's science as well, Kathy, which is true. You cannot kill energy. It simply transforms into another source, or another element, I guess. I can't even think of a better word, but they remain connected. So I've seen moments of guidance too. It's like, spirit will bring through, you're really stuck in your career. I see you're headed in like a few different places, and they're like, yes, yes. So what you're currently doing now, I see possibly shift happening. And then they'll show me something, like I'll just give an example, maybe interior decorating. And they'll say, oh my gosh, I've been thinking about that. Well, there's your validation that maybe you should look deeper into that. For it to come up, there's the ability to do it. And the other thing I always highlight too is that we have free will. So whatever spirit brings through, as far as suggestions or guidance, it really is just opportunities. And the opportunities will present themselves. It's up to you to say yes or no.
Yeah, perfect. So how would you direct someone that says, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to connect with my intuitive abilities. Where should I start? Um, and then also there's instances where people say, like, I don't hear it. I feel like there's a block, or there's something that's stopping that connection. Um, how would you direct people in doing that?
Yeah. You got to become self-aware first. So I think every single person has the ability, and there's numerous clairs that we can use. And if you at first start to understand what those clairs are, even beyond our regular five senses, we have the other senses, or our clairs, we call them. So recognizing what you already have, even if it's a small dose of what you're using. So for example, we talked about clairsentience, of clear feeling. So if we acknowledge that, yeah, I have a little bit of that because I do feel that when I'm in public, and then really understanding that, reading about it, getting into workshops, and growing that. Everybody has the ability. If you feel blocked, practice self-compassion and patience too. So engaging in activities, maybe to even separate from connecting. And I know this is kind of opposite ends of the scale, but it works. So promoting relaxation, creativity, such as art, nature walks, even yoga, sometimes taking a break for trying to connect will allow that intuition to flow freely. And I'm infamous for saying, surrender, just allow it to come to you. Put out that order as if you were, ordering online somewhere. You put your order in, it's coming. Sometimes you just don't know when. So we just have to release that. Spirit has a broader picture, so they know what timing and ways it should come. So if we just surrender and trust that it's going to come a lot quicker. So consider seeking guidance through workshops and working with a mentor to explore your abilities in a supportive environment, or even just getting out into the environment of other people, or even following certain Facebook groups that allow you to grow or just speak your language.
Yeah, yeah. And you said a key word in there, and that is trust, right? You need to really trust that, you'll get the message when you're supposed to get that message. And like we said earlier, get out of fear, right? Because a lot of times I find that that's what blocks people is they're in fear, right? or
Yes.
or stressed, right? Like so many of us are stressed nowadays that we need to get the nervous system itself to calm down, right? Before we can receive any type of message for ourselves. So self-care is a big part of it as well, right?
100%. And that's why mindfulness and meditation are huge for that. Not just for connecting to
Mhm.
spirit, but just for your well-being.
Yeah. We're just almost at the end of our time here. Is there anything that we haven't discussed in terms of intuition and connecting with spirit that you think we should leave people with?
Um, Other than the ability being available for everybody, I encourage people to use it, and not just if you don't even want to have a practice in it, for yourself, maybe for your loved ones. We really have, lost our connection to our abilities, and that intuition, we come here with it. So just re having it rebirth in your life can help in so many ways, can help with anxiety, can help with making decisions, because it is available to us. We just have to remember it and maybe put ego where it belongs, because ego does block it a lot because we start to self-doubt. And in those cases, it does keep us blocked. So I think my biggest piece of advice is to reconnect with your intuition.
Yes, yes, beautiful. Thanks so much, Jody. That's really going to help people to have a way better understanding of how to communicate with spirit and to trust their own abilities as well. So where can people find you? We know you're located on Spiritual Canada, so they can find you there, but where else can they connect with you?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually have an office in Port Perry, which is I share an office with my sister Jackie, and it's such a beautiful space there. We're really grateful to be there right inside Inner Vision. But I also have a website, jodyreidmedium.ca, or on Facebook, Jody Reid International Psychic Medium.
My thanks to Jody Reid, International Psychic Medium, for joining me today, and thank you for listening in. Be sure to subscribe to us on the Spiritual Canada YouTube channel. You can also follow us on Spotify or iTunes. Until next time, I'm Kathy Upper, and this is Uncovering Spirituality.